Hey everybody, this is Brad Bruce and I am here with
Jase Marsiglia.
And you're listening to the 5195 podcast.
Hello, hello.
Hi, sir.
How are you?
Pretty fantastic.
Yeah, we had a good day.
We did.
That was fun. It was laid back.
It was chill. It's what we needed.
I think so. Did a little bit of the city walk.
Yeah, city walk's always fun.
Hit LA. Drove through the canyon.
That was nice.
Going
through the hills is always fun.
Fucking cool. Damn it.
There's a couple nice little pads up there.
There are some really nice pads. Gave us, some stuff for our metaphorical, what do they call it? A dream board or a...
Vision board?
Vision board. The vision board. You're like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
I wanna live secluded.
Ooh, seclusion. Could you imagine?
No, I can't.
Yeah, because, that's what I was telling you.
I've been Suburban Joe my whole life.
I thought your name was Jase.
Suburban Jase my whole life.
Yeah. No, that's what I was telling you earlier, Joe. I was like, when we were going through Hollywood,
yeah,
it's just so fucking chaotic and it's a clusterfuck and
it's
busy. And don't get me wrong, I love it.
Sure, yeah.
I love LA.
No, LA's LA, but...
I told you, watch what happens.
We veered,
yeah,
I was like, whoa, this is nice.
Yeah. So, yeah, it'd be cool to get a spot up there.
Yep.
You never know.
We do, right?
We do.
Because it's going to happen, not if.
But when.
When? Yeah, we're good
Yeah,
with
it'll be
that.
fun. All right, well, I guess that's it.
All right, see you guys.
All right, good night.
We had a horrible segue. I was trying to think, I'm like, mountains, a mountain cat.
Oh, you were going nature.
Yeah, a little.
So nature was calling
Because
you.
we were off the beaten path. I have to piss. All right, I'll be right back.
Bye.
Let me
I'll just wait
take
here.
off these things. No, there's a huge staple in the horror genre. Massive. That we've never touched on. That I find a lot of fun. But I also find it truly terrifying. And that is the nature run amok, a.k.a. animal attack films. Love them. I do. Some are horrible. Some are brilliant. But they're all kind of fun in their own stupid way. Until you get into, like sci-fi originals, because fuck them. And I thought we could hit up 5 of our favorites with, I do have a runner-up.
Okay.
So I have 6.
So you have honorable mentions.
I do have an honorable mention.
Well, shit. Okay.
That I'm writing down as we speak. Because I thought of it, forgot about it, thought of it again. There it is. Do these movies fuck with you at all?
Yes.
Do you have what I call the irrational fear? Because me personally, as stated, Suburban Jase.
Joe.
Suburban Joe. The thought of being eaten by a large animal or a predator of some sort, kind of irrational. I'm not a hiker. I don't swim in the ocean. If I'm in the glades, I'm not the guy who's like, hey, why don't I just take a dip in the fucking swamp? No. I don't put myself in situations that would cause me to be eaten. But there was an incident when I was a kid that made headline news. It's pretty fucking disturbing. But it's haunted me my whole life. And it instilled a fear in me that was like, how about I never fucking get eaten? How about that? How about we just purposely avoid that situation in all shapes and colors?
Up on the vision board.
Yeah. No, off the vision board. Take it off. Had a picture of myself being mauled. I said no.
Oh, you decided against it.
I drew it for no apparent reason.
After it kind of...
I drew it to put it on the vision board specifically so I could take it off.
To take it down. Oh, okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
I manifested it and said no manifestation.
Yeah, okay.
The story that came out is actually very serious. It's very scary, but it put the fear in me at a very young age. I was only 5. This happened May 20th or so, 1987. This 11-year-old kid named Juan Perez and 2 other buddies broke into, I guess, the Brooklyn Prospect Park Zoo. I don't know if it was after hours or if they went in during hours and hid and waited for people to leave kind of thing. But they got it in their heads to go swimming in the polar bear exhibit. And, they're kids, so they're not thinking rationally. They just think, well, I guess animals are like people and they have a bedtime and go to bed. Unfortunately for them, the polar bears were in their cave, heard the intrusive sounds of kids swimming, and 2 of the 3 basically escaped while one was dragged screaming into the cave by 2 bears and ripped to pieces. And that was like the most horrifying thing I could ever think of. I was only 5 when this happened, but it was like, I was aware enough to be like, he's a kid. He's only a few years older than me, And from the reports, both bears were found pulling the kid apart. He'd already been dead by the time authorities were there, and they were just kind of messing with pieces. And it said that those bears took 20 blasts from a 12-gauge shotgun and 6 bullets from a .38 to take them down. That's a lot of firepower. The bears apparently were over 8 feet tall standing and over 900 pounds.
Big boy.
Massive. And the idea that something that hungry, that large, that scary was coming at you, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
So apparently Mayor Koch, who was the mayor in New York at the time, I guess he walked the scene after the fact and said that it was indescribable. There's no words for what he saw that day. So it was a big story. It made national headlines for us to hear about it in Michigan.
Yeah.
And it was like, I was just terrified at the thought of what nature could do. You know what I mean? So animal attack movies in the horror genre always gave me a weird vibe because it was like, it's not like a zombie or a werewolf or a vampire. Animals exist and they can kill you, and they have.
Yeah.
These things happen. And so, as outlandish as some of them can be, there are some really fucking scary stories out there that have been made into films, and a lot of fake stories too, like Jaws.
Yeah.
Based on Peter Benchley's book.
But that was fake?
Technically, I believe Jaws is loosely based on a tiger shark that got loose around Martha's Vineyard or found its way up there and did attack some people. That's allegedly, and I could be wrong about type of shark in place, but it was loosely based on something that had happened decades prior.
Well, let me say this before you get heavily into this.
Okay.
Kind of going in with your fear of animals, and because of that shit you
and
heard when you were a kid
at such a young age,
right? I never have like this fear that I'm going to be mauled by an animal. I don't really go in the ocean.
Nope.
But I will say this: every single time I go to the zoo, I always have it in the back of my mind. What if someone fucks up and leaves the lion cage open, or the tiger cage, or the bear cage, and they get out in the zoo? It always crosses my mind.
Because a small fuck up in a place like that could be deadly.
And I always look at these people that are working at the zoo, and I'm like, you look like you should be in junior high.
Yeah.
Like, they're very young, which I applaud, what they're doing, but...
Well, there was, a few months ago? It was this year, 2024, the video that came out of a couple of zoo workers who were, I think, in the gorilla cage.
Oh, yeah.
Who were, putting food out or something, and then the silverback just come charging out, and it's like, holy fuck!
Yeah.
There's no way in hell I wouldn't have thought, I'm dying right now.
Yeah.
I'm about to die.
Of course. Those things got strength.
It's crazy. They do. They have crazy strength.
Thank God we're editing this. No, you're right, man.
But
That's fucking scary.
Like, you see one of these things, if it brought both fists up and brought them down on you,
oh, dude.
you're mush.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, the strength behind these things, it's insane. And that's not even being eaten. That's just being torn apart by an animal.
But no, that was it. That was kind of what my thing was like. I always have that in the back of my mind. Like, man, this is just a fence or a piece of glass,
well, that's what's fucked up about it. Like you said, it's always like some kid or some young guy who's like, I'm just here for a paycheck.
Yeah.
And who the fuck knows in this day and age of cell phones where someone's just like, hang on, I'm texting my girlfriend, and he forgets to throw a latch.
Yeah.
Now you've got Jurassic Park on your hands. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's just fucking wild.
It is wild.
I just, to me, the fact that animals, just by instinct, could rip you to pieces if they got a hold of you is, it's very terrifying.
It is.
I do think that the animal attack genre, warts and all, is a very frightening subgenre of horror.
Yeah.
When done correctly.
And when you brought this up, because this was your idea.
Yeah.
When you brought this up, I really did have to think. Because I know there's a lot.
There's tons.
But I was like, I really had to think of a few that really...
Like actual standouts?
Yeah, where I was like, oh yeah, no, this would be fucked up.
Yeah.
To encounter. I kind of... Sure. And that was the basis, was I was like, I'm going to put myself in these situations and see, like, what do I don't want to deal with.
Well, not just that, but for one thing, when I brought this one up to you a couple days ago, I said, when we do this, completely remove the Jaws franchise.
Totally.
Because Jaws is in a league of its own.
Right.
The sequels are just guilty by association. So any animal attack movie that's not Jaws, which is really the benchmark.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, there were animal attack movies prior too, but Jaws was the one that literally made people afraid to get in the water.
Yeah.
In fact, my dad told me a story a long time ago about how he went and seen Jaws at the theater, summer of 75. And he goes, he got home that night, and I think he was told to skim the pool in the backyard of my grandparents' house. And he says he went back there, cleaned the pool out. It was night already. It was dark. And he said, and he laughs when he tells you this because he knows it's stupid. But he goes, when he was done, it was a hot night, he goes, he just kind of traced his fingers along the water. And he goes, for a millisecond, Jaws popped into my head. And he goes, I yanked my hand out of the fucking pool. Mm-hmm. Just because it was like, yikes, and he goes, it's a pool.
Yeah. No, I mean,
But it was like Jaws did something to water.
Yeah.
It didn't just have to be the ocean. Mm-hmm. It could be a pond. It could be your pool.
Exactly.
And it was like, it was a very primal feeling of something lurking beneath the depths.
That's right.
And
yeah, exactly. That's why I haven't bathed or showered since I saw it.
And it is palpable. I can practically chew the air. It's so bad. But that's neither here nor there. Bottom line was, Jaws is obvious.
Yeah, that's easy.
Jaws is easy. It's easy. So I was like, take Jaws completely out of the equation. Anything beyond Jaws.
Mm-hmm. I have something close to it though.
Okay. And that's fine.
Yeah.
But Jaws is like, everybody fucking knows Jaws.
Of course.
If we were doing a theme on demonic possession, I'd be like, anything but Exorcist, because we all know The Exorcist.
Yeah.
So I based my list less on fun, enjoyable, more on the primal fear it gave me. Mm-hmm. Even though
I think I did the same thing.
There's a couple here that are like, that's just fun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just because I thoroughly enjoy it. The rewatchability is high.
Right.
But that's basically what I did. I was like, these movies, they reignited that lurking fear of, I do not want to be bit by something like that. So
yeah,
that's
totally.
That was mine. But I at least wanted to tell the story about why I got so fucked up by animal attacks. Was at 5 years old,
good reason.
A child getting ripped to pieces, and it was like, that was nightmare fuel for years. And I still look back on it like, There's no fucking way. So as a parent now, I'm like, oh, my son got eaten.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, can you imagine?
That's crazy.
It is. It's
No,
just,
it is.
now as a
It is.
parent, I'm
It's
like,
crazy.
how do you wake up to that news? Wait, first he ran away
Yeah.
with his buddies. And he did what now? And then you're dealing with that, and then they go, I'm sorry, the polar bears ate your kid. And you're like, come again?
Yeah. How could you ever enjoy a Coca-Cola at the holidays?
Oh, God. One of these bears with the scarf that's like, you're like, fuck you.
And the bear's like, this one is so good.
This one? Wow.
I love the fucking silence.
Like, seriously?
That's okay.
5195podcast at gmail.com. Forward care of Brad Bruce. Polar bears. Subject line polar bears.
You think that's where they actually got the Mexican Coke recipe? Okay, let's fucking move on. They always say the Mexican Cokes are better than the regular Cokes. Okay, well, so.
Let me tell you. Hopes and dreams ended at Prospect Park. I shouldn't have said that. I'm sorry, America. I'm sorry, world.
Oh, shit.
That was terrible. Before we get canceled, let's move on to our fucked up list.
Okay, who's going first?
Last time we did a list, I think you went first.
Okay, so it's your turn.
I'll go ahead. And my number 5 is Alligator.
Oh, fuck.
1980. 80?
That is 80.
Okay. It's on your list?
It's on my list. I had that one, too.
Dude.
Okay.
That was not a prospect that I expected.
Okay.
No, I did, actually, because Alligator's fucking amazing.
It's
is such a fun movie.
It is.
And, not to bring Juan back up, but a little kid gets shoved into a pool and eaten.
Yeah.
A little kid.
A little kid, yeah.
So Alligator didn't really pull punches either in terms of that.
No, it didn't.
Even though the movie is kind of blackly humorous, the alligator is ridiculously big.
It's and the reason it got so big,
Yes.
because it was eating dogs that were injected with growth hormones in a laboratory.
Yes. And when the dogs died, they were like, just dump them in the fucking sewer. And they're feeding this
It was
gator.
like a steady diet for 12 years. This thing.
And what's funny, the irony being the woman who's assisting Robert Forster, who is fucking amazing in the movie, as always, it's her gator that she got from a gator farm as a kid.
Uh-huh.
That her dad was like, I'm flushing this motherfucker.
He was afraid of it.
Yeah, he's just like, get this fucking thing out of the house. But yeah, brilliant movie. Robert Forster is the fucking man.
Yeah.
I miss the guy.
Yeah.
But he had such a great character because he's just an everyman cop. Mm-hmm. He always played that really well. I'm just some dude who gets kind of lumped in these situations. But one of the things I truly love about that movie is that he gets in front of his male pattern baldness.
Okay. Okay.
You ever notice that? Everyone's like, hey, why don't you comb that over a little bit? And he's like, what are you talking about? And they're like, yeah, your hair. And he goes, what's wrong with my hair? And it was like Robert Forster was losing his hair. And he's like, if we're going to do these jokes, he goes, I got to make them up.
Yeah.
I'll riff on myself. Don't fucking touch me.
Mm-hmm.
But it was hilarious. And little known fact, for Breaking Bad fans.
Yeah.
Were you aware that Bryan Cranston helped with the gore?
I was not.
Scream Factory put out a hell of a cool 4K collector's edition of Alligator a year or two ago.
Okay.
They interview Bryan Cranston, who, if you'll remember, worked with Robert Forster again on Breaking Bad.
Right.
This is like 40 years after the fact. You
right.
know? Cranston was basically just like a PA.
No shit.
And he said one day he was one day I could be running and getting coffee. Mm-hmm. He goes, And one day he goes, I was literally churning a vat of fake blood.
Okay.
And keeping it moving. And he goes, and I guess Kane Hodder was one of the fellas in the
suit.
In the suit.
Yeah.
He goes, when you watch the movie and, you know, there's gore or something blows up and there's a splatter, you know, he goes, that was me. And he goes, what was cool though, he goes, the thing that stood out to him in the making of Alligator was, I guess when you're part of like the B team, you know, the lower rungs on the production, they all had to carpool in this big van. And I guess Robert Forster had been running late, so he flagged the van down, got in, and sat right next to Brian. And one of the unspoken rules was don't talk to talent, leave them alone, whatever. And Cranston was just kind of sitting there, and I think he said maybe Forster's script fell, and Cranston just kind of, here you go, bud, you know. And he said that Forster was like, what's your name, bud? And he goes, oh, I'm Bryan Cranston. He goes, so, what are you doing on this? And he goes, he just engaged him, made him feel like part of the team. And he goes, and that's the way Robert was. He was just like, he was genuinely interested in what you were doing, wanted to get to know you.
Yeah.
And he goes, the entire ride there, we were just bullshitting. And he goes, it was a moment for him, but it meant the world to Cranston.
Yeah.
And he goes, you zip ahead 30 years, he's on my show now, you know, where I'm the star and he's a guest. And he goes, and I remember telling him, do you remember on the set of Alligator meeting me in the van? And Forster was like, no. And he goes, it's okay. He goes, but you did this, this, and this. And he goes, and I just wanted to thank you because you're part of the reason I'm here now. You made me feel like I belong.
Yeah.
And he goes, I'm sorry, I don't remember that. He goes, but look where we are.
Yeah.
And look what you did. And he goes, I'm glad that I could have given that to you. Even if it, you know, he was up in age at that time, but he was just like, I'm glad I gave you that moment.
Yeah.
So look where it took you. And it's just such a cool fucking story, you know. But that's my aside on Alligator.
Cool.
But that is just a phenomenal.
Yeah. Well, I'm taking mine off the list.
You should.
Because I'm on the same, I don't want to repeat myself.
No, that's fine. I don't want you to repeat yourself.
No,
either.
I don't, because I almost feel like you took all my shit. But it's okay.
Nobody likes hearing someone parrot genius.
Not a no one. No.
Not a no one.
No.
I have no prospects.
So I guess I should go ahead and I'll probably delete all, I'll erase everything I have.
You probably should.
You know, this will just be the
I'm gonna laugh at most of our picks.
This will just be the regular Jase hour.
This is the Jase episode.
Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and start then. My measly 4 that I have.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Do it.
Orca.
Not on my list.
Really?
And I like Orca.
I do too.
That's a great
I love
movie.
the story because the whale's killing for a different reason. He's killing out of revenge.
Yes.
And that's fucking cool.
And what's funny is Jaws the Revenge gets lambasted for it. This one, not so much.
No.
And it's the same thing.
It is the same thing.
I don't remember
but I just feel like it was done better.
It was.
You know, especially for being 77, it was, you know.
And being a blatant Jaws ripoff.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it was, everyone was taking to the sea with, you know, I think we had tentacles, which was fucking awful. But like Orca, you watched it and you're like, this is clearly just Jaws with a killer whale.
Yeah.
But it was.
But there was I love the reasoning, you know, like with you know, the orca's mate, because like, you know, those animals do have that connection with each other.
And if I'm not mistaken, didn't the wife, for lack of a better term, didn't a baby fall out of it and they just kind of kicked it into the water and it was poaching, right?
Yeah.
And it was just, you watched it. I mean, the whale was like watching all of this. Yeah, mammals like that.
It was cool. It was just a cool concept.
It was, but it was executed beautifully.
It was.
There's a lot of shots in the movie, especially seeing the whale jump, you know, do the Free Willy jump that all those killer whales do, but behind it.
Oh wait, fuck! No, I am thinking of Free Willy.
You're like, wait a minute, I was just calling it Orca. No, there's the part when I think of Orca, I think of the scene where he's jumping, but
I know what you're talking about.
Behind him, it's like carnage.
Yeah.
And he's just enjoying what he's wrought, you know. Very cool movie.
Yeah, no, it's fun. It's a really fun movie.
I like Orca a lot. This one, I'm just going to say it. This is more for the entertainment.
Okay.
Cocaine Bear.
Okay, look, I'm going to be honest with you. I've never seen it.
No?
No, I haven't. And I've heard so much about it.
Yeah.
And nothing bad. You know, it's like, it is what it is.
Sure.
You know?
And it's loosely based on a true story.
Yeah.
But done so fucking hilariously well. Mm-hmm. It's such a stupid movie, but it's our kind of stupid.
Okay.
Because when it came out, I'm like, oh, good. A Sharknado hit the mainstream.
Yeah.
Cocaine Bear.
That's what I thought.
And it just, and I even was disappointed because I'm like, this was Ray Liotta's last movie.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like, My brother Justin came over one day and was like, have you seen Cocaine Bear? And by this point it was on Blu-ray or whatever. And I'm like, no. I was kind of like, I didn't really want to mess with that. And it didn't last long, I don't think. Mm-hmm. We watched it. 20 minutes in, I'm like, this is already 10 times funnier than what I expected. And then when the gore starts, because this movie is nasty, it's like, oh my God. Someone found a way to make a hilarious, disgusting, brutal gore comedy out of an event that happened in the 80s where cocaine was dumped over Kentucky or Tennessee or some shit. And a bear got into it and got fucking high. So now this bear, like literally there's a scene where someone gets ripped to pieces, but the cocaine, it kicked up cocaine from like a hiding spot where it was, and you see the bear as he's walking away with like a chunk of someone in his mouth. There's a severed leg with like a little bit of cocaine on it, and the bear goes before walking the rest of the way. It does a line off a severed leg, and I was just like, did I just fucking see that? But it's hilarious. Yeah. It's such a funny movie, and the rewatchability on that one, through the roof. Mm-hmm. I laughed beginning to end. I've seen it several times now, and it makes me laugh every time.
Yeah.
But it doesn't cheap out on the nasty.
Really?
No, the gore in it is top notch.
Yeah.
When the bear's charging at someone, you're like, holy fucking shit. You know, it never looks fake. The effects in it are fantastic.
Wow.
Ray Liotta is Ray Liotta.
Yeah.
You know, he's doing his thing, and it's funny. But yeah, solid movie.
Okay.
Solid suspense, but bigger laughs.
Okay.
Very enjoyable movie.
Well, I guess I'll have to check it out.
Yeah.
It's like Cocaine Bear and Iron Man 3.
How fucking weird.
I know. It's a double feature. My next one is from 96. The Ghosts in the Darkness.
Not on my list. And you know what? That one I've only seen once. I think also based on a true story.
It is based on a true story from like 1890.
Was it that old?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like it was 1890 something, 90, 89, 90, I don't know, in that area, you know.
Yeah.
Before 1900.
So pioneer.
Yeah, well, it was that they were building this bridge, I guess, like in Africa.
Uh-huh.
And this guy started noticing that his workers were being killed.
No shit.
And so I guess he either, he contacted the government or whatever, and they sent him this hunter. It's pretty fucking crazy because, like mixing like fact and fiction, the lines from the real story, they were believed to have...
It was more than one?
It was two.
Okay.
And they were... So some of the villagers were saying that they were like spirits from like evil villagers had possessed the lions.
Okay.
And
so there was like a mythology behind it.
Yeah, but it's crazy because some people said that they were just bloodthirsty. They were doing it for fun, not for food.
Hunting for sport.
Yeah, and it was believed that they killed over 130 people.
Holy fuck.
Yeah, before they were finally taken out.
Damn.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
if you said 30 people,
right,
I would have been shocked.
Yeah.
But seriously,
130 people is what these two lions killed. So they were killing.
These lions were fucking.
No, they were fucking people up. They were like supposedly they were pure evil. Like they were just wired wrong. Like Like, because it wasn't for food at all. Like, it was just, they would go into villages and kill everybody in the village.
Damn, dude.
Yeah.
That sounds wild.
Yeah, and the movie's fucking great. You know, the movie's fucking awesome.
I feel like, I know I saw it once, and we're talking probably 96, 97.
Right when it came out.
VHS.
Yeah, okay.
But I want to say when I watched it, it was at like somebody's house. People are talking.
Oh, okay, so you didn't really...
I didn't get to zero in and really watch it.
You should give it another watch because
this is Douglas and Kilmer, right?
Yeah.
No, I do want to see it.
Yeah, you should because it's pretty fucking good. Because
Really?
it's not just like, you know, I love the suspense and the intensity of the lions coming into camp and stalking stalking the villagers. It's so good.
Yeah.
You know, because it's like, holy shit, this isn't a monster. This isn't a slasher.
No,
This is a wild animal that exists.
It's
you know,
it goes exactly back to what we were talking about. You could, depending on where you go, you could be mauled to death by a lion or a tiger.
I mean, I've seen the videos. I know you've seen the videos of lions opening doors on safaris and pulling people out.
Oh my God, those are terrifying. Or these Jeeps where you're sitting on it like a fucking
and it's open.
Stagecoach.
Yeah,
you know, and it's
opened up.
They could jump high as fuck.
Fucking crazy.
Yeah, there's no.
That is fucking crazy.
You will never see me on the fucking savannah. No. Fuck that. No. Yeah.
No, thank you.
No, I do need to rewatch that because
you definitely do.
That one. Yeah, I that sounds fucking rad.
It is rad. Like I said, it's a cool story, and I love period movies.
I do too.
I love the way they really encompass the time. Mm-hmm. And of course, you know, Kilmer and Douglas are fucking flawless. Like,
yeah. No, I've always been a fan of both.
Yeah, no, highly recommend.
Okay,
give it a shot.
Cool. My next one is The Shallows.
Oh, okay.
Did you ever see that?
Nice. I have.
Blake Lively.
Yes,
I believe. I'm very. Again, to be honest, I'm one of the few people apparently that didn't care for like Deep Blue Sea. Didn't really care. Just shark movies are a hard sell for me because the bar is so fucking high. Mm-hmm. But The Shallows had a sense of realism to it that I was like, this is kind of fucked. You're stuck on, I think she was like on a rock and the tide had come in and basically she's within chomping distance. You know, this shark could pick her off at any time and she's just got to survive. And the thing is, she's too far from shore to make a break for it. And it gets worse when I think she rips her leg open on coral. Mm-hmm. And it's like, now you've got blood in the water. It's even hungrier. It couldn't get worse. And it keeps getting steadily more and more intense.
Yeah.
And I thought it was really the first movie I ever saw Blake Lively.
Yeah, I think same for me.
I've seen a few since, and I know that she's done plenty, Gossip Girl and all that shit. She's been around long before this movie came, but this was the first time I was like, oh, I'm watching a Blake Lively movie. Mm-hmm. And I thought she was fantastic. She sold her panic perfectly. She showed her fortitude. Mm-hmm. Her character was fucking smart, using what little she had on her. I mean, she's in a bikini the whole movie.
Yeah.
And it's like, how do you repair a tear in your leg? Or, you know, how are you gonna make a break for it when you're basically hobbled? And she goes from like the rock to a buoy to, I believe, a dead sperm whale or something. And it's like every time this shark is just on her ass. Yeah. And it was the first time in a long time that a shark movie really grabbed me by the balls.
Yeah.
And I was like, and the shark looked real.
Oh, for sure.
Fantastic effects for the shark because this wasn't Sharknado and all that stuff. It wasn't the Meg, which is fun, you know, but
I like the Meg.
The Meg is fun, but this movie, the shark looked like a legitimate threat. Mm-hmm. And I really enjoyed that. So the Shallows, that's a fun movie for me. Yeah. I like that one a lot.
All right. Well, you took my third one, so I only got two left.
Me too. I do like that, with the exception of Alligator.
Yeah.
We've had different movies.
Yeah, totally.
This is cool because it's given people a little bit of a list.
And now we're coming into dangerous territory to see if we do have the same movies.
I feel like one of them for sure.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go Grizzly 76.
Really?
Yeah.
It's definitely not on my list.
Because I saw it when I was young.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. the way that grabbed you as a kid. Mm-hmm. Remember, I used to go to Minnesota a lot.
That's pretty much the stomping grounds.
My uncles and my grandfather had killed grizzly bears.
No shit.
Yeah, so my family has like pictures of my grandfather with this fucking massive grizzly that he had shot.
Fucking
you know, and this was years ago. I remember we went on a trip one time. Me and my dad went to Minnesota. Mm-hmm. We met up with my uncles, and they were going out to their great grandmother's house.
Okay.
All right. This was one of those things where we had to like park and then walk like 2-3 hours through the woods.
Yeah.
To get to grandmother's house.
No fucking way.
And instead of a wolf, there were bears, like, because it was, you know, grizzly country for sure.
Gee, pick this or this.
Yeah. You know. So we got to her cabin just as it was getting dark, and this cabin was, I'm gonna say, a good probably 8 feet by 10 feet, and this is where she lived for like probably 50 plus years.
You described this cabin on an episode before.
Yeah, I have.
Same one?
Yeah, same one.
Okay.
So they were, like I said, they were going out to pick up some of her belongings.
Yeah.
Because she had been passed for a long decades.
Yeah.
Essentially, you know.
But the isolation.
Yeah. So we, you know, again, like, you know, laying in the cabin, and you could hear them.
Bears.
Yeah. Like this fucking crazy growl.
Yeah.
But it would echo through the woods. You know, so it was almost like you didn't know where it was coming from. I have not felt that sort of unbridled fear in my entire life. You know, because I was 9.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Maybe, and
1 or 2 years younger than...
Definitely. And... I mean, these walls, you could touch them and they would like feel like they would fall apart.
So a bear.
Oh, it's like no problem.
No
problem. Yeah. So, you know, again, like, man, we didn't see. I didn't see anything, nothing like that. But I mean, fuck, that was scary. And then watching grizzly, especially as a kid, it was like, wow, this is fucking scary because that's like an 18-foot. You know,
it was a big bear,
grizzly bear, and you know, of course, watching it as you get older, you're like, this is fucking cheesy, but it still got under my skin as a kid.
Sure,
you know, and it did affect me. You know, it totally affected me. And I kind of do have a little bit of a fear of bears.
I do,
because every time I watch these like videos, because like this has been happening a lot here in California. You got like Ring cameras, like where we were at today, because you know you saw the deer signs, which is funny because we're in Hollywood and there's deer crossing.
Right.
You know, but, you know, you go like a little bit further up the 101, there's bears.
I mean,
roaming around neighborhoods and shit.
It doesn't surprise me considering, you know, we've gone on your porch and you're like, there's coyotes coming down the street. You know, wild animals are just, they're here. Mm-hmm. And they're displaced and probably pretty angry about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, grizzly, I own grizzly. It's enjoyable for what it is, you know.
But that's all it is.
Yeah, I didn't realize how close until like a more recent viewing, how close it is to Jaws.
Totally.
Because you've got the cop, you've got the expert,
and
it's the grizzled veteran.
Yeah, it's Jaws in a state park.
It is, but they used, for the most part, a real bear, and he did not look happy. And there's some pretty intense moments in that movie, you know. But for my money, I forget who directed Grizzly, but he also did, a year later, Day of the Animals? Same guy. Now, Day of the Animals, have you seen that one?
I haven't.
Basically, he just grabs the same cast, puts them in the mountains, and this one was a climate change movie, even in the 70s.
Okay.
And basically what it was the ozone layer was the new problem, and the further up the mountain you got, i.e. closer to the sun, it was affecting the animals to the point where they were going berserk.
No.
And so it wasn't just grizzly. There was a grizzly bear.
Yeah.
But there were fucking vultures and snakes and coyotes and everything was going nuts. And one of the ironies of that movie is the chick at the beginning of Jaws who gets eaten, the opening death. She gets killed on land. She's in it. She gets killed out. She's not safe anywhere. I think she gets pecked by a bunch of birds and then thrown off a cliff. But the reason to watch is it stars Leslie Nielsen.
Okay.
As a dick. He's like this rich conglomerate who's going on this nature hike, and one of the tour guides is like, he's like a Native American, and he's always like, "Hey, Kimosabi, how much longer till the next rest break? Hey, Kimosabi this, hey, Kimosabi that," and the guy's just like, "You're being a fucking racist. Stop." Yeah. Well, what's funny is this altitude thing with the sun and all that. He starts getting affected like the animals.
Okay.
And before the end of the movie, Leslie Nielsen is like grabbing some girl and going, "I'm gonna rape you because I'm man and I'm savage and blah blah blah." And the girl gets saved from being raped by the arrival of a grizzly bear, probably the same one from Grizzly. And what does Leslie Nielsen do? He beats his chest and charges at it, and now Leslie Nielsen is fist fighting a grizzly bear to the death.
Fantastic.
Must see.
Fantastic.
Like, seriously, Leslie Nielsen going completely bonkers, losing his mind, and going primal is like...
This isn't a deleted scene from Naked Gun.
Not at all. Okay. But it feels like it.
Sounds like it.
It feels like it. Frank Drebin on like a rage kick. And he's just like, "Oh, yeah. And it's fucking hilarious. So,
and not meant to be hilarious?
No.
Even better.
Even better.
Okay.
Brought to you by Severin.
Oh, really?
Go get it. Because they put out Grizzly, too.
Yeah.
I think they came out the same day or something as like a animal attack thing, but Day of the Animals, just watch it for Leslie Nielsen.
Okay.
Because it is batshit crazy.
I'm almost like, do I have it?
You might. I would double check,
Yeah.
but 100% worth it just for him.
Okay.
Because he's such a fucking dick.
As soon as you said Leslie Nielsen fighting a bear, something clicked. Something clicked, and I'm like...
I feel like it's one that...
I think I might have this.
Either that, or I'm sure... I saw it since we've been friends, and I know at some point I must have texted you and went, "I'm watching Leslie Nielsen fight a fucking bear."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It just sounds like the kind of thing that I'm like, Brad would love this. So, yeah. My next one is Crawl. Have you seen that one?
I have.
That one fucked me up.
Yeah.
Because... I was scared. Mm-hmm. That one had me... there's at least 3 jump scares in that movie when it's hard to get me once. That's the one about... She's like in college and has a scholarship as a swimmer.
Yeah.
And a massive hurricane is blowing through the Everglades. Gainesville, I believe. And her dad, who's played by Barry Pepper from Saving Private Ryan, no one can get in touch with him. So he's divorced, so there's no wife. Their mother's somewhere. And her only sister is like up north. So the hurricane's not even affecting her.
Yeah.
So she's like, "I'm already down here. I'll go check on Dad." And what happened was Dad was under the house in a crawl space trying to repair something. Mm-hmm. And 2 massive alligators have found their way into the crawl space from like a subterranean drain pipe. Mm-hmm. Attacked him, and now he's injured, but he's in an area that they can't get him. She goes down there, she's attacked. Now it's just, how the fuck are we going to get out of here? Because they're basically crawling around by the only exit.
Right.
To make matters worse, the hurricane's getting worse, and the crawl space is starting to flood now. Mm-hmm. So now you're stuck in a situation where either get eaten or drown. And your time limit is getting pretty tight. Mm-hmm. And when me and my brother Josh went and seen it at the theater, there was a very real hurricane blasting through Florida, West Virginia. It was a really big one where they literally had everyone evacuate. Mm-hmm. And we were catching the remnants of it in Michigan. Like, we were getting thunderstorms and shit. Okay. But we went and seen this movie during a live hurricane. Yeah. And it just felt very topical and immediate. But the fact that the movie kept me jumping out of my seat, the fact that the movie kept me biting my nails, you wouldn't think that being trapped in a crawl space and subsequently the house, as it's flooding, would be intense. But it is like one of those isolated... You're stuck here. How do you fucking get out situations while there's multiple gators? Mm-hmm. And I thought it was a phenomenal movie, and it really, by the end of it, I was like, holy shit. I wanted to watch it again. I'm like, that was a fun ride. Great performances, too, by Barry Pepper, and the actress, her name escapes me, but I became a fan right away. I'm like, if she comes out with anything else, I'll go see it, you know. But
no, I agree. That was a great movie.
Fun flick. And nasty. Mm-hmm. You know, it leaned into the hard R.
Oh, it totally did. Mm-hmm. Well, my last one. You got one more?
Just one.
Okay.
And a runner-up.
And okay. Well, I do have a runner-up as well.
Do you? Okay.
Yeah, but my last one is arachnophobia.
Oh. I'm going to tell you right now, no movie curls my toes the way that one does. Mm-hmm. That movie scares the fuck out of me. Mm-hmm. It really does. Arachnophobia is a brilliant pick.
So I went to the theater and saw it.
Did you?
And I already have a fear of spiders.
Yeah, I don't like them either.
Like, I genuinely have a fear of these fucking things. Mm-hmm. Spiders and snakes, I can't deal with it.
Yeah, they're
not.
And
then here's another thing, too. This is a weird caveat. I don't have a problem with tarantulas.
That confuses the fuck out of
me.
I know. You've told me that a bunch of times.
Yeah, I don't like, I mean, here we get them all the time. I'm surprised we haven't gotten any this summer.
I've not seen any yet.
Yeah, and like usually we get them, and like I will go up, and you can judge their temperament.
Okay.
You know, if you go up and they raise up real high, don't fuck with them.
Yeah.
But if you go up and they're just kind of like walking around, I have stuck my hand down, and they'll walk up on my hand, and they'll walk up my arm, you know, and I'll stick them in a cage, and we'll get like bugs and shit for them, and they'll stay for a few days, and then we'll let them go.
Yeah.
You know, and again, I don't have a problem with tarantulas, but there's something about fucking these spiders I can't deal with.
The ones in that movie.
And that's the problem.
They're real.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure there were a few fake ones here and there.
Oh, they totally had to be.
But that movie had a litany of actual spiders, and they were weird looking spiders.
And the premise is so, it makes sense.
It does.
You know, of like an African spider.
Hitched a ride in the coffin of a victim.
Yes.
Which is a whole other creepy thing. Because
exactly.
You see that it drained him of everything.
Yeah.
Blah.
Yeah. And then, you know, then...
I think it mates with like a wolf spider.
Yeah. And I cannot stand wolf spiders.
No.
That's what I killed on the porch the other night. That big motherfucker.
Yes. We did have one of those.
Yeah. Yeah. So, it's funny. So we go see the movie.
Yeah.
And it was me and a couple of friends and my brother. And we're watching the movie, you know, and I'm like slowly eating my popcorn, and I'm just like, I just got to keep it together. I just got to keep it together. That's it.
Yeah.
And at a really opportune time, my brother throws a piece of popcorn and hits my ear and grazes my face, and I fucking screamed in the theater. The people around me were fucking roaring with laughter as well. Like they thought that shit was stuff. But I was hyperventilating. I was fucking terrified.
Bro.
You know, that movie
changed my behavioral patterns for life.
Yeah.
Because I won't go to the bathroom until I've looked around the bowl. I won't get into the shower until I've looked behind the curtain. Any place that a spider was found and not noticed or it crept from in that movie, I am checking that spot everywhere I fucking go.
Yeah.
Everywhere I fucking go. Yeah. And the opportune moment, please tell me it was the part where the spider crawls out of the fucking popcorn. Oh my God.
You're right. You're
God
right.
Damn it.
Yeah.
I'm like, it made everything terrible to the point where I would not like to turn off lamps. Because our old school lamps when we were growing up was you reached under the lid and you went, and there's that shot where the spider just drops down on someone's hand that you didn't even see. And it was like, fuck that movie. I love the movie.
I love the movie too.
It's a brilliant film. The suspense and the horror of it all,
you know what,
is great. But it's the only movie that gets so under my fucking skin.
Yeah.
That literally I'll pull my feet off the floor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And you know what? It's not as bad because it is so 50 sci-fi over the top, but Eight-Legged Freaks is just as freaky to me.
Is it?
Yeah.
Because that's one that people go, how could you watch Eight-Legged Freaks and it not bother you? And I'm like, you know, the part that bothers me is when the guy gets bit and he starts falling all over and all of them are getting loose. I'm like, because they're still realistic size.
Yeah.
But I'm like, by the time that they grow to the proportions where they're like the size of like a car, I'm like, I've disassociated, and now I'm watching it almost like Gremlins or Tremors.
Exactly.
You know, and it's that kind of funny. And
Exactly.
that's the point. But I think people, knowing that I'm a creep show guy,
Yeah.
they're like, how do you do with the roach story? And I'm like, just fine.
Yeah.
And it's not that roaches don't fucking bother me. They're gross. And the way that they're employed in Creepshow is super gross.
Right.
But to me, they just look like beetles, I guess, like big brown beetles. Whereas if that story was about spiders, I would be, I might even just skip the story altogether. I don't know, because it's just horrific.
Yeah.
Arachnophobia, yeah, that one tapped into something that's not been reversed.
And you know what? No matter how many times you see it, it still gets you the same way.
I've seen it dozens of times and it fucks me up.
Yeah. And that's what I meant. Like, it's more impactful than Eight-Legged Freaks.
Yes.
You know, again, I love Eight-Legged Freaks. I really do.
That's just fun B-movie shit.
It is. And, you know, we're going to have, and I will say this, you know, we're going to have Randy Cornfield, who did this, was part of that. You know, part of that
Really?
movie.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he was one of the guys that came up with the story.
Oh, great.
For that, yeah. So we're going to have him on as well, because, I mean, I would love to pick his brain about that.
You know whose brain I did get to pick, and, you know, may he rest in peace. I was a big fan, but I got to meet Julian Sands.
Oh, really?
Yeah, at a convention. And obviously, when he goes to these horror cons, he's done a ton of horror movies. Most people know him as the Warlock.
Yeah.
Which is what I had him sign.
Okay.
You know, because to me, he's the Warlock. That was his showcase. But he's one of the spider, I don't want to say professionals, but he's one of the guys that's his field of study was arachnids. And I asked him, I said, dude, as someone who's terrified of spiders, how did you do making that movie? And he was like, spiders don't bother me. So he goes, so I was able, you know, they crawled on me, whatever. He goes, they just didn't bother me. And he was super cool about it. But I'm sitting here like, I don't think there's an amount of money you could pay me to star in a movie where you're using
be tough, dude.
Spiders.
That would be very tough.
And I mean, props to Jeff Daniels, props to John Goodman. I mean, the movie fires on all cylinders. And what's funny is it's mostly played for laughs.
Yeah.
It's a dark comedy.
Very.
But it's as funny as it is, it's difficult. If you have arachnophobia, the actual fear, very difficult to get through.
Exactly.
And yeah, you mentioned tarantulas. I mean, the big spider in this one's it's like the size of a fucking catcher's mitt.
Yeah.
And
they are too. And like these bird eater tarantulas.
Oh yeah, I know.
Like a dinner plate.
They're insane. So I mean, yeah, just thinking about it now has got my fucking hair standing up. It really does.
Yeah, it does.
My number one, and again, I'm glad that we only had the one similar.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, it is good.
My number one, Hitchcock's The Birds. Fucking brilliant movie.
I played with the idea. I did.
Yeah.
I did.
I almost wanted to shelve it the way I did Jaws because it's unbeatable.
Yeah.
Birds are not inherently scary. They don't scare me, but the way the movie is orchestrated by Hitch. Part of what made Psycho so scary was Bernard Herrmann's score. That was integral, just the way John Williams is to Jaws. In The Birds, he takes all music out. The movie's very quiet.
Yeah.
And if you're to watch it in the theater, which it's been brought back hundreds of times, I'm sure, you sound like you're in an aviary. And when they attack en masse, it's almost maddening. The sound, the fluttering, the squawking, everything. And it's just a very imposing film that makes something... This isn't a great white shark. This isn't spiders. It's fucking birds. And it's terrifying. Yeah. It's a terrifying film. And just to me, the big set piece in front of the diner where the town is literally on fire now because these things have gone fucking berserk is just... masterclass in suspense, masterclass in matte paintings and layered visuals. And it takes a very, very talented director like Hitchcock to make something as innocuous as birds frightening.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's not even like scary birds like crows or vultures or whatever. It's seagulls.
Yeah.
It's hummingbirds. These are just little birds that you see every fucking day on the electric wire and all this, and, you know, building nests in your tree. They're just so innocuous. And this movie is so oppressively aggressive in its attack scenes that it's like, I don't want to fuck with birds, you know.
Yeah.
God forbid. You know, they even say in the movie, could you imagine what would happen if the birds decided to revolt? And that woman gets shut up pretty quick because they do, and it's chaos. And to me, The Birds is right up there, if not just below Jaws.
Yeah.
In terms of just how masterfully it was put together and how well it did.
No, I agree.
So that's my number one.
I've never seen it in a theater, but I would love to experience that because I know exactly what you're talking about. Because even with the surround sound, like a sound bar, it is very like unnerving.
It is because,
you know, to hear that,
and there's never,
because it doesn't stop, and you're just like, okay, like I'm ready for this shit to stop.
And you don't really hear voices. There's a couple of scenes when people are attacked in their home, where you're seeing someone say something, but they're drowned out by birds.
Yeah.
And there's the birthday party attack. There's the diner scene, the scene at the school. There's all these big set pieces that were done where you're like, how the fuck are they going to get out of this?
Yeah.
You know, and when you start seeing beaks pecking through boards in the wall and shattering through windows, it's like, birds are fucking relentless.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a scary thought, you know, and because they're really, it's not like Jaws where you could just stay out of the fucking water.
Exactly.
There's no escaping.
There's nowhere to go.
Yeah. So it's brilliant animal attack film.
Totally.
So what is your runner-up?
My runner-up is Cujo.
Oh, fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Bad dog.
Bad dog.
Bad dog. I love Cujo.
I do too.
And that's also from Louis Teague, who did Alligator. And Dee Wallace, in my opinion, between Dee Wallace and Danny Pitaro, Oscars should have been handed out.
Agreed. I totally agree.
She plays the belabored mother so fucking well. The kid is so genuinely terrified.
Yeah.
Even though he's just acting.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to reach through the screen and pull him out of that fucking car. And the dog, who they had to find ways to make him look scary because he was so lovable and just wanted to play.
Yeah, I mean, I know, wasn't it their toy?
There's a toy.
His toy. He had
his toys in the car.
They had his toy.
So he's jumping on the windows and shit. He wants
his toy.
Just wanting his toy. But the sound design to make him growl.
Yeah.
Certain quick cuts and angles.
The way they dressed him.
Oh, God, he's covered in all this pus and gunk, and he just looks fucking awful.
Yeah.
Awful.
Yeah.
And that's another one that's just relentless.
It is.
And like Crawl, you either get out and get mauled to death by a dog, or you stay in the car and cook.
Yeah.
Because it was like dead of summer, no air in the car.
Like in the desert.
In the desert.
Yeah.
And it was like, you know, at some point they're both pale, they got cracked lips and, you know, dehydrated. It's a
I thought her
bleak
name was Dee
situation.
Wallace.
It is dehydrated. It is Dee Wallace. Great pick.
Yeah.
Great
cool.
fucking pick. Mine, once again, not the same as any of them. An Italian film called Wild Beasts. Have you seen Wild Beasts?
I have.
Okay, for those who don't
have.
know, and again, this one, like Day of the Animals and Grizzly, they're available. It's available through Severin, and this is a movie about a city where apparently PCP is so common that the needles and all this, they're just out in plain sight all over the fucking place. You know, you're in the subway and there's just like a bushel of used needles, and it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, even in our worst cities,
right,
it doesn't look quite that bad. But the PCP from all these discarded needles and shit have washed into the water. And the water is being fed to the animals in the zoo. Now you have a bunch of fucking hallucinating, drugged up animals getting loose and wreaking havoc. And I mean, I'm smiling just talking about it because it's so absurd.
Yeah.
It's so ridiculous, and I love every fucking
Same.
minute
I
of
do
it.
too.
And then the kid's trapped in a school with a polar bear. For fuck's sake.
Was his name Juan?
His name was Tu. One of the kids, they're like, I'm thirsty. And the teacher's like, well, go drink some water. And they drink out of the water fountain. Now the kids are high on PCP and trying to kill each other. So it's not even just the animals anymore.
It's brilliant.
So
it really is.
fucking berserk.
Yeah.
And it's shot in such a Mondo way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're talking around the same era as Mondo Kane, fucking Faces of Death. So you're seeing people being ripped apart and elephants like crushing people's heads. And it's super gory, super tasteless.
Yeah.
And I love every fucking minute of it. I think it's hilarious. So that one I had to throw
Hell
in.
yeah, that's a great honorable mention.
It didn't make the top 5, but that's one that I pop on and just giggle through the whole thing because it's just so absurd. But I love it.
Hell yeah.
So
Sweet. Well, that was fun.
yeah, man.
It was different.
It was. And I like looking back and going, you know what? We didn't talk about this or that.
Uh-huh.
And Animal Attack seemed like something I watch enough of.
Yeah.
That I'm surprised we didn't touch on it sooner. You know.
Really good call. Glad you suggested that one.
Cool.
Until next time.
See you guys.